Legionnaires. Yeah,
Legionnaires.
Legionnaires.
For all your custom nerdy shirt printing, blockhead printing, cons, parties, or gaming clubs, this is a full-service, badass screen printing company. Check out blockheadprinting.com.
Woo! Welcome to Comically Gaming episode 109, the weekly talk show where we discuss our obsessions and the weekly news around it. A games, comic, and culture production. Catch every episode on Tuesdays, and please consider supporting us on patreon.com/GCandC because Nate needs a new computer and you can help us. It would help us improve all the content and make it so that I don't have to edit all the videos. And it can be done for as little as $1.
This week in Comically Gaming, we got the Joker Jared gets a standalone. Stranger Things coming to Telltale. New D&D settings for 5e coming this year. Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy and the Game of Thrones prequel pilot released. Spoilers, we cover the Legion wrap-up.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
I'm so excited to talk about my favorite television show.
Yeah.
Dirk, you just finished watching it?
Yeah, it brought it home. I didn't know if that was going to happen.
They totally nailed the landing.
It nailed the landing and then some. Yep. Totally.
Stick around at the end of the show, everybody. We're going to talk about Legion because we want to talk full spoilers when we have the conversation. So we do it at the very back end of the show. If you watch on YouTube, you've already seen it on the screen. If you're listening to the podcast, then hang out. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Sweet.
And don't get sunburned.
I have to wear hats now, or the top of my head, my hair is getting so thin that I'm toasted up there. That's the only part that I really care about. The rest of it, I'm one of these guys who burns into a tan, and then I'm good for the rest of the year.
Yep, same.
So Corey might be popping in at some point. He's working late tonight. Dirk, you want to kick us off with your week?
Yeah. Hey, everybody, what's happening?
What's up?
So, let's see. I don't think I played a whole ton of games this week. Just God of War, trying to
nice.
Kratos it out and boy it out. Boy. Not a whole lot of game action. I did read a serious amount of comics. Man of Steel 2, which is continuing to be awesome. I never cared about a Superman comic before this, and it's really good. And it's definitely been this. I mean, it comes through again. I read also Amazing Spider-Man 800, which is, I think, the finale or second to last one of. I don't think they're ending it, but it's the Dan Slott run ending. So it was a big issue. Really awesome. Yes.
Nice.
It's really good. This isn't a spoiler or anything, but the villain, I know we've talked about Green Goblin being dated and like everybody's kind of over it, but the villain for this series was Red Goblin, which is Green Goblin with the Carnage symbiote.
Nice.
Symbiote.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Totally awesome. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was so nuts. I mean,
I haven't been a huge fan of the Green Goblins that they've given us in the films, but I love the Green Goblins in comics where they really make them look very kind of Scarecrow-y and stuff, like where they can kind of really lean into almost like supernatural looking. That's like that's the Green Goblin that I really, really enjoy.
Like a circus vibe to him. He's got that hat, that he wears and the buggy eyes.
Definitely.
Besides that, I mean, the Marvel rebooted all across the board with several of their titles, and it's by far the best reboot I think I've ever read in Marvel, period. Because all the first issues are just strong, and they're all great writers, and they're all taking them in wildly different directions. So there's like a Thor #1 with Jason Aaron. There's Doctor Strange #1 with Mark Waid. There's a Deadpool #1, which is awesome. I think it's Scotty Young, I think, doing it. And then Venom just rebooted. But my pick of the week is Immortal Hulk #1, which is Al Ewing doing Hulk as a horror comic. If you can envision that.
I can see it from the cover.
It's super dark, man.
Yeah.
Just like it's gonna go in even weirder places than the first issue, but I just the second that I heard that description, like Hulk done as a horror comic, I was already in, but reading it, I was just like, some of the shots in it reminded me of a little bit of that Swamp Thing that we read.
Sure.
Not quite as psychological, but definitely in that vein.
What do you think, like, if you say that you love this reboot so much in general, like, it's so far it's just a bunch of #1s, right? Like,
yeah.
To me, like, comics really kind of grab me in with the longer-term story arcs and whatnot. Like, what is it that makes you so impressed just from, you know what I mean, when you're looking at all #1s? Like, how can you tell? Is my question.
That's a good question. It's because the content is so different than what Marvel's used to. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Jessica Jones had an influence on how these writers are thinking.
Really?
Because it's definitely more adult content. It's
like the Bendis run that we've been reading.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's in that vein. It's just adult storylines, which is not what I'm used to from Marvel. And they're letting these writers take chances. I don't know if it's because they got that new publisher in place, or CB Cebulski, I think is his name. But like that Venom title, that's almost strictly sci-fi at this point.
Sure.
Reading Venom
and then
#2.
Horror.
Yeah, Venom #2 is like straight. It's getting comparisons to H.P. Lovecraft. I mean,
nice.
in the tones in it. So I love it, man. The Thor comic is awesome, Jason Aaron. But and then I'm excited about this news that I'm about to drop hot from D&D, from Wizard of the Coast, a leak. I got some inside information.
Nice. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit. That's my week.
Wow, that's a crazy week. Whew, I don't remember what I did.
How about you?
I beat Detroit this week. That's what I did.
Oh, awesome!
That was
loved
awesome. That was
You loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Me and Corey compared story endings, and I fared better than he did. So
Nice.
But,
you beat Corey at a game?
I beat Corey at a game? Well, I guess you could say I beat him. He's just a little too aggressive, and he was trying.
Who's running with trash now?
Then I was playing some H1Z1 with Nate on the stream tonight.
Awesome.
And I watched that really shitty movie Tomb Raider. Yeah. They should pay you to watch it. That's what they should do. And
she was all right.
That's pretty strong. Like, I could see it being one of those movies that, like, if I know it's garbage going in, I can still enjoy it just as an action flick or whatever. Like, what do you hate it that much really, that it's not even that?
I don't hate it, and I really was going into it expecting, a video game movie that's just subpar. But some of the acting was just it was pretty bad, and I don't know. I was trying to get into it, but it reminded me a lot of the Temple, not the Temple of Doom, the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The final half hour of it reminded me of that. And I don't know. It was,
and that's not a good sign.
So it was, even though it was low budget, it was a low budget script too. The script wasn't well written, and I think that if it had been written better, I think that they could have pulled it off.
And the actors weren't good, you said.
Yeah, the actors weren't that great. No,
right,
they weren't that great. I don't know.
That's 3 strikes.
I guess it's if you buy it, on demand, and you have like 5 people watch it, you'll get your monies out of it. $6. It's not as bad as saying it's not as bad as saying they should pay you to watch it, because the only movie I've ever said that about was I made the mistake and paid $1 to go see Spice World.
You watched that in the theaters?
I watched it on the base theater in Pearl Harbor. That's why it was $1.
Wow.
And me and a roommate, we brought pillows and we watched it. And then as we were walking out, 12-year-old girl's like, "Mom, that movie sucked." I'm like, "Well, we're done. We're out. We're never watching a movie again."
I wanna.
Stop. No.
Stop it. Yep. Stop it.
And I fired back up Fallout 4. Didn't realize how close I actually was to the end of it.
That's awesome.
And
Before, Jeff, I'm sorry to interrupt. What's your score for Tomb Raider?
6.2.
6.2.
6.2. Yeah. If I had played Fallout 4 and beat it when it first came out, I think I would have been pretty happy with the story. But I've played so many other games now and had so much better experiences playing games that it just sort of fell flat for the big reveal. I was like, I don't care. But
yeah,
I'm almost
card
done with
pulled
it.
on you.
Huh?
Don't get the card pulled on you.
I won't do that.
I'm surprised if you can have a spoiler in Fallout 4. It's so big. I mean, it's like
For the story, you can.
Yeah,
if you mainline the
right.
main story, the stuff that happens at the end, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
crazy. I played Fallout for like a couple hours. It was one of those where I was in the middle of a bunch of other games and I just knew I couldn't play the whole thing. I played and beat Fallout 3.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Oblivion was the first one of their games that I really played all the way through, that I got and finished when I got my 360 day one. That was one of the games I got and beat that one, and then have been a Bethesda fan ever since. But it looks like, I mean, to me, it looks, Fallout 4 looks kind of like what everybody's saying, which is like a 7.5 game. Like it's good, but not.
Yeah,
not
it's around
great.
that range.
I think their first few games I think really blew everybody away, but since then, as a studio, they've been kind of stagnant. Everything does feel kind of samey.
Yeah. It feels like Elder Scrolls with guns in apocalyptic worlds, for sure.
Or New Vegas.
I think it's
again.
Yeah, I didn't play. I still have New Vegas for my PlayStation 3. Still wrapped in cellophane. I never cracked it open.
Oh, man.
Everybody loves that.
Yeah? Well, maybe
It is. It's good. But, I mean,
or something.
it's samey, like we said.
I mean, Fallout 4, I had fun with it. I obviously had fun with it when it first came out 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, because I have 120 hours invested in the damn game.
Sure.
But I guess now, after playing games that had really great storylines that were not 120 hours long, like Last of Us and a few of the others, God of War, Detroit, that it's just, it's fun. It's fun, but I didn't read any comics this week because I didn't realize that one in 1984 was the one we were supposed to. Not many movies. I got a couple of papers, so I've been sort of juggling that. But
Sure.
2 months.
Yeah.
2
2
months.
months.
So the next school
You're
break.
almost there.
No, Tom done.
Till he's done permanently.
totally
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
I didn't know it was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why he said he'd start DMing, because he's like,
That's why I said
Sure.
I
I
have
thought it was just a
time.
break.
No.
Okay, that's cool.
Done, and then I should take a week off and just play video games and just take a piss in a bottle, and that's all I do.
Nice. All right. Well, I went last weekend to Rocky Mountain National Park. That place, I would totally, if you're the type of person that likes to do cool outdoorsy stuff, Rocky Mountain National Park is in my top 3 parks in America that you can go to, definitely.
Did you get some Rocky Mountain oysters?
No, I did not. It was, that place is there's some hikes there that you can go on that, like, for me, like, I really enjoy like a half day hike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not the hardcore dude who's going to climb up to the tippy top of some mountain, and I'm not the person who just wants to go for a half an hour and turn around. I'm somewhere in the middle there, and this place has hikes where every half an hour the trail pops out onto something that's just spectacular for you to take a break at and just soak it in, right? And all kinds of crazy wildlife and stuff. It was totally awesome. Love it. But anyways, back, and then jump back in right into work, and haven't had a ton of free time, but did, as we've been talking about since the show started, watch Legion. We'll talk about Legion at the end of the show. Love it. It moved to the upper tier for me. Like, to me, it's always been Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, and then everything else. And I think this is right there with them now for me. And the one thing that I just wanted to share with people who are watching, if you've been hearing us babble about the show for so long and you can't watch it because you don't have FX, I did a bunch of research this week because I'm not caught up on Preacher, and apparently these TV networks now do not do marathons for people to DVR anymore like they used to. This Preacher Season 3 is about to start. I've been waiting all year for there to be the 2-day catch-up marathon, and it's not there. And if you want to go on demand on cable, you have to buy it, and it's pretty expensive. It's like $25 or something to get the season. Yeah. And so anyways, did a bunch of research. Hulu's the place. Hulu, you get a week or a month for free, and then after that, it's like $6.99 a month. And it's got Preacher and Legion. So if you want to find it, that's the way to do it. If you can binge it in a month, you can do it all for free. My wife did tell me that they are apparently one of the worst companies on earth to try and cancel from.
Oh, yeah.
So
Hulu?
I haven't. Yeah, so I haven't done it yet. But FYI, if you're one of those people that hates calling somebody on the phone and yelling at them 20 times before they'll actually let you go, maybe that you don't want to do it. But yeah, FYI for everybody out there, if you want to check out Preacher and Legion, you haven't been able to, you could do it for free in a month.
Well, you didn't sell Hulu to me then.
I was going to say, Sling also has Legion. That's where I've been watching it.
Sling? Okay.
Yeah.
What's that cost?
I think it's you get to pick your package. I think you can get a $20 package if you want to watch it, and you get FX.
Gotcha.
I pay the $40 a month, but I cancel my cable, so it's basically my cable service. It's Sling. Because you have a whole slew of channels you can pick from.
Yeah, that's what Hulu's like. Hulu seems like a pretty poor selection compared to Netflix and Amazon. I feel like it's like third for that. I haven't seen Sling before, but it's cheap. It's $6 a month or $7.
Sling works like cable though. Like you see the channels in the grid, and you can switch between. But it keeps everything DVR'd also. Like so, I could just go and do a search on Legion, and it popped up.
Right.
I was surprised. I was like, I wasn't expecting it.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So as far as comic books this week, caught up Saga number 52. Love Saga. Not going to talk spoilers on it, but it's such a joy to be caught up and be able to I can tell when it's been 2 or 3 weeks since the last one, and I'm running out to the mailbox every day when I get home, and you get that little bit of joy when you see it in there when you pop it open. Yeah, just really liking it. And then started reading Fables as well. My buddy who lent me Why the Last Man is Mark. Shout outs to Mark. In that box was the full collection of Fables also.
It's very long.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Now that I'm caught up on Saga, though, I'm ready to dig into that so I can send him his comics back. And it's great so far. I really love it. I'm almost like, it's funny, I had a huge gap in my life. Well, not a huge gap, but like a 10 or 12-year gap where I wasn't really reading comics. And it's funny to go back to these older books and how different the art styles are and whatnot. Yeah. And kind of what you were saying, Dirk, on next week's episode is that the difference between computers and no computers. It just has such a different feel. Yeah, the artwork has such a different feel to it. So really enjoying that. What's that?
It has paper too instead of the glossy stuff.
Right. Yep, exactly. And then, yeah, like Jeff said, really, I haven't played much video games. H1Z1, played that. And then today being Father's Day, I forced the kids to play D&D with me.
How was that? I have
The
so many
12-year-old grumpy one that said that he didn't want to play it because it's too nerdy. I talked him into it, so
How do you like it?
Forced him to play a game. It got the official review was it wasn't as bad as he thought it would be. So I think I might grab him there. We'll see. But yeah, it was fun. They you know, it's interesting to play. I guess I almost even don't know how to do it, to play with people who just have never played it before, don't have any idea about like what the structure of the game is like and things, you know, because it's the systems, right? Like if you've never really tried it before as a DM, it's like it's hard to, I don't know, to make it role play enough when you also have to kind of be explaining everybody, you know, basically what they should be doing. When I started playing with you guys, we had Jeff and Pete to kind of know that, okay, when you take out a bunch of guys, you need to search the area. And when you do this, you need to do that. You know what I mean? So to play with people who don't have any expectations or anything like that is kind of fun, you know.
Well,
but my youngest loves it.
What's funny, though, is they played video games, they played any RPGs, they should have used the same tactics as you do in an RPG, where you search everything, every room, once you've defeated the enemies. So that's funny.
But it takes a little while for that to click, right? For you to realize how similar.
There's no button that says to loot, press X.
Right. Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's it. That's my week.
Right. News of the week. So
Too much emotion.
number 5, Joker Jared Leto getting a standalone film.
That's right. They announced that they're going to make a standalone film using Jared Leto as the Joker from Suicide Squad. I don't know.
I think it's good news. I think he was not used enough in Suicide Squad.
No, he wasn't. I thought, I mean, for the scenes that... I don't want to get on like how much I really like Suicide Squad, because I know they didn't like it very much. But I really liked the scenes where he was in it because, I don't know, he personified that truly psychotic kind of
He's
person.
a little crazy. Yeah.
And Harley Quinn with him, it just was a great combination, I thought.
Is she going to be in it, you think?
I don't know.
I bet you she is. At least a little bit.
Yeah.
I liked how they kind of gave it kind of a gangster feel. Yeah. Also, you know what I mean? Like when he's just hanging out with girls hanging off of him and fancy parties and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not, you know, the previous iterations are more just like wearing a purple suit and floating around and you know what I mean? Like he was more kind of cool. And like he would be a crime lord. Yeah. You know what I mean? As opposed to just fanatical or whatever.
Like a Cesar Romero or Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, and I felt like in Suicide Squad, I didn't get to see quite enough of it to totally make up my mind as to whether I liked that take or not. Like I did like it, but it wasn't like for the 5 minutes of that whole movie that he's kind of in, there wasn't really enough of it for me to make like a full, like, do I really like this? Or is this something that's not going to age well? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you go back and watch the
Heath Ledger.
What's his face? The Heath Ledger. Yeah. That Joker will be timeless.
Yes.
Right.
Forever, right? And
absolutely.
You go back and watch Nicholson in it. And it's kind of cringy nowadays, a little bit.
No, it's a lot cringy.
Right. I feel like Romero nailed it, but that was like a time and age that is different, you know? So I like the fact that...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, Romero, if he had tried to play like a Heath Ledger or Jared Leto type of Joker in the 60s, that wouldn't have flown nowhere.
Right. But he was still something about his portrayal too was crazy. You know what I mean? He just had that little edge to him that was really great.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Number 4. Telltale working on a Stranger Things game.
What you guys got about that?
I wish I'd read the article because I was just catching up on voting, but I
didn't read it either.
The only
I think it might work.
Telltale game I've ever played was that really shitty Game of Thrones one.
That was their worst one.
I haven't
That's the one that,
worst.
I haven't done Wolf Among Us, and I haven't done the Batman. And I heard
Fables.
those are the
I want to
best.
play Wolf Among Us, actually.
I've heard that's one of the
Fables.
best ones they did.
Wolf Among Us is one of the best ones, but I will tell you guys 100%. Walking Dead Season 1 is like, if Wolf Among Us is the second best game and it's here, Walking Dead Season 1 is like here.
Clementine, right?
Well, I mean, it's just that story. It's a 2-hour story that's incredible, and they have not been able to match it. How incredible that one is since. And
lost their writers.
And since they've had a couple stinkers, like Corey really hated Guardians. I'm kind of checked out on them at this point. They're all just too similar for me. But you know, if I guess the flip side of that is Stranger Things. What a great IP! Like, let's start making cool video games. Like, I'm excited that Stranger Things is getting a game. You know, and it's not just like some throwaway mobile thing, right? This will be a real game. So I'm excited for that. It also, I think, what kind of will determine whether I buy it or not is how much it actually ties into the shows. You know, if it comes out and people are like, okay, this is an integral piece to the story, you know, then I'm in.
Yeah.
If it's some side thing going on around the main kids and stuff like that,
like
then
Will's,
probably
Will's
what's
dog, that? Like Will's dog or something. And
right.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts around it. I don't know. What do you think, Derek?
I mean, I need to go back and play Walking Dead, and then I can talk about it because I'd like to do that first, and then. But I want to play Wolf Among Us because I know the Fable story really well, and I mean I know Stranger Things front to back. It could be good. I don't know if people should go there looking for the most creative thing. It's going to be a Telltale game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you like it, you'll probably
then it comes down to writing to me, right?
Yeah,
like those games are all the same. It's you're watching. Story.
If they get the writers or some of the writers from Stranger Things to help write it, I think it might be really good.
Right.
I just hope it doesn't like mirror like season 1 or season 2. Because then it'd be like, well, I've already watched all this. There's nothing new here.
Yeah, that would be silly.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be that. We'll see. I don't think so, though.
I hope not.
But Wolf Among Us kind of was like that. It was a retelling of that story.
Oh.
There's some differences, but it's a little bit more like that. But Walking Dead is not. Walking Dead's a whole different. But then again, it's not. They don't tie into the show or the comics at all.
Oh.
Walking Dead, it's its own independent story that's just in that universe. So my hope would be for a Stranger Things game that this ties in close, that the kids are in it. You know, that you're playing as them, and that it's also like a meaningful piece of the story. Yeah. Well, that's my hope. We'll see.
Or if it's just them, you know, all playing D&D. I'd be down with that.
Right?
It just kicks off with them playing D&D, and then the whole rest of the game is like their imagination D&D game.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
See, I'd be down with that.
So
do you guys know? Sorry. Do either of you know about the Borderlands 2 DLC where Tiny Tina plays a D&D game? No. It's incredible. Do you guys play Borderlands at all?
I played. Yeah.
Only the first one. I haven't played the second one.
You know Tiny Tina?
No.
It's
been so long
okay.
since I played the game.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
She's one of the best characters. She's totally insane. Like, she's one of those characters that's written totally insane. And she's also this young girl who does these, like, hyper-violent stuff and then doesn't even, like, I don't know, acts like it's no big deal and all that stuff. And this is them sitting around a table, the crew from Borderlands sitting around the table playing D&D, and she's the DM. And then as she starts telling the story, it goes into the game, and you're playing through it. And it is incredible. And she is so crazy that her version of the D&D game is absolutely top notch. But it's
awesome.
also it's end game DLC. So you like me and Corey started playing it, and it's actually like there are 4 or 5 expansions for that, and it's one of the last ones. So we weren't high enough level to play it, and so we went back and started the expansions after beating the game, and are trying to build back to it. But the first like half an hour that we played was bonkers crazy for sure.
Speaking of D&D,
yeah, well, I was gonna say, actually, in Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes, they have the stat blocks for the Demogorgon.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that. Yeah.
I think he's like a CR 25 or something crazy.
Awesome. That's great.
So that leads us into our next item, which is number 3.
Waterdeep.
Exclusive D&D to announce new settings for 5th edition later this year.
Oh, new settings, not Waterdeep.
New settings. This is separate from the Waterdeep Adventures.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is what I have the information on.
You keep saying,
So I have an inside source from...
Can you name it?
No.
No, I can't name him, but he's from Roll20.
All right.
He works at Roll20.
Okay.
He's like 95% sure, and he had the evidence to sort of back it up and show me that the setting is going to be Spelljammer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is for Nate. I don't know if Nate, if you're familiar with this, but it's high fantasy in space, sort of like trying to think of what to compare it to. Swashbuckling sort of space pirates, sort of
Star
but with
Wars.
Dwarves and elves and all the races.
So it's
Yeah.
like Guardians of the Galaxies.
Yes, very much like Guardians of the Galaxy, but with a fantasy spin on it.
Okay.
Are there also different races, new races that are from space or something, or no?
There probably will be. I'm sure they'll add some once they release it, but you can play all the current races there, you know. But if you go back and look at, like, even in Mordenkainen, they dropped a creature called the GIF, GIFF, and it's a hippopotamus that wears old military gear, and they know a lot about guns. And that was from the Spelljammer setting.
Nice.
So I think he's pretty sure that that's what it's going to be. I mean, like I said, the evidence that he showed me, and then also he said if there's another one, because they're working on multiple settings, that Mike Merle's one of the lead designers there has been testing a game playing through the Dark Sun setting, which is my favorite. You know,
What's Dark Sun like?
So Dark Sun is like a Mad Max take on D&D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's like, I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but it's a desert world. This is the great thing about it, is that it got to be that way because a brand of mage, a subclass called a Defiler, it's a mage that basically uses the life force around him to power up his spell, basically. So you could add like an extra attack, or you can add an extra, hit dice or whatever to your attack. He shrivels up all the plant life, and if there's an animal near him, he'll like damage it or kill it to use it to power his spell. So a ton of mages started doing this whole like group, and that's how Dark Sun got to be what it was.
So Dirk, can you, like, when I was nerding out when I first read through the Player's Handbook about the different planes and all that side of the story, could you actually are these settings considered in the D&D lore to be different dimensions or planes of a similar setting, or is that kind of up to the DM to write that if you want a homebrew sort of thing? Like, could you jump through planes to get from
you absolutely, well, I'll
from
say
the Sword
this.
Coast to space?
Planescape is a setting where you could do that.
Yeah.
Planescape was released, I think, at the end of the 90s, and they had access to people that could plane walk, move through that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to not be in these settings, but they might give a brief summary on how planes maybe affect these settings. But from what he told me, they're moving from Faerun and going outward. So all these places are further and further out. I think Spelljammer, there's a setting there's like a base near Faerun that connects to the space setting in Spelljammer. So
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I'm
just
very
curious. Yeah, like that's getting my creative juices flowing right there.
There's some crazy shit once you get into the plane action, like the plane that deals with law versus chaos, and it gets nuts.
Like, do those environments somehow, can they be put into this chart? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Nice.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, he mentioned this to me also. He said, like, why he thought it was kind of dumb that they were coming out with Spelljammer, because he's like, why would you want to use a ship to travel somewhere when you can just learn the spell of plane shift and go that route?
Yeah.
But we'll find out, I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's got to be. I mean, I would just assume that there's got to be common people that are part of intergalacticness, right?
Yeah.
Who can't just use plane traveling, right?
That's true. That's
so
true.
You
not
go
everybody
meet them
has
on their
a mage.
environments,
Right. Yeah, not everybody has a mage with that kind of access, I would think. So I'm excited, man. I like the idea of a space pirate setting. Be cool.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Sweet. Number 2, Lucasfilm producer reveals new details about Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy.
It's a catchy line, but if you really read it, it just says
Not much.
it's not much. He just says that Rian Johnson's going to create a new trilogy that is completely different, completely new, because he said we've seen the Skywalker's saga, and now it's time for something new, but it's not going to come out until after the last episode 9.
Yeah, but even that is kind of soon. Like as of now, they haven't announced what's after episode 9.
Yeah.
Right. Episode 9 will be the next movie. We know that Boba Fett's in the works, Obi-Wan's in the works, and his trilogy's in the works, and the Game of Thrones trilogy's in the works, but we don't know what order anything comes in after The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I thought there was also there's a cool quote from him in there where he was just kind of talking through what is Star Wars without Skywalkers? Like what part of everything do you keep, and what can you make brand new and still make it feel like Star Wars?
Yeah.
It's a cool position to be in. To me, like, I don't envy the guy. That's gonna start. That's when it's gonna start to get weird when we're looking at stories that don't involve Skywalkers, right?
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it for sure. Like I if we're gonna be watching these movies for the rest of our lives now that Disney bought them, there's got to be new stories. You can't build them all around those 3 movies that Lucas made. And
right.
Well, they kind of have though.
So far. Yeah, so far, definitely.
I have a question for being a I'm not as heavy into the fandom as I think you two are.
Yeah.
Sure.
So my question would be, is it more centralized as a theme to have Jedis versus Sith than the Skywalkers?
Yeah,
that's somewhere that
yes.
they can spread, go somewhere else with it.
See, what
Definitely.
I would like is if they went back to the old Republic, like way before the prequels. Go back to some other time and do that. Sort of like, Knights of the Old Republic by BioWare, and then the Old Republic. The video games, they went way out in history and just did something there, and were able to have great storylines.
They did it great. Yep.
Yeah.
They're the only. That's the only, outside of some of the books. I know there's a lot of quality books because there's 10,000 of them out there.
Yeah,
and there's got to be a few good ones. But but yeah, the Knights of the Old Republic is an incredible one. That first one, they get deep into all kinds of the Jedi stuff that was really cool, I thought. But so as far as the movies go, we haven't seen a single movie that's not based around the
No.
Skywalker story.
Right.
So this will be kind of an exciting
It
departure.
will be, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. And that brings us to our last item of the week. Game of Thrones talk is back. We got a prequel, people. The pilot ordered at HBO.
Yep. So
Don't
it
think-
sounds like hundreds of years earlier.
Oh,
I love it.
Like,
The Age of Heroes.
right.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's kind of the same thing. That kind of gives them free reign to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also, I mean, he's got a lot of that stuff set up in the books where, you know, you can reference and get at least names. You can go back with the Targaryens, you know.
Well, you can go back with all the houses.
Yeah, the Targaryens were the ones that were mainly in power, I think.
You could
I want to say in the Age of Heroes. I don't know.
You could almost portray the Lannisters as like the great house, the good house for Westeros, and then tell the story of how slowly over time they are what we see as the Lannisters now with Cersei and everything.
I don't
like that.
think like I haven't. I'm not totally crazy on the Game of Thrones lore, but I've heard. I thought that like their original ancestor stole Casterly Rock. He tricked the Casterly family out of their own house.
Yeah.
Like, I think that their lore is that they've always been shitty people.
Right.
Okay.
Casey Knight. We need Casey Knight for this.
Yeah,
Well,
he'd be able to tell us.
They could go back
Yeah.
to the first man. That's what they could do.
Yeah. No, Age of Heroes is awesome. I mean, they don't go super in depth in the books, but it's enough to spark your interest, you know, and to absolutely have a setting set there would be great.
Yeah, it'll be cool too. You know, when it seems like since Game of Thrones blew up and everybody loves it so much that, you know, clearly now Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings are like, as far as high fantasy, they are the two most popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because for different reasons, they're quality product, right? And what I think Lord of the Rings definitely always has over Game of Thrones is that Game of Thrones really does feel like the core story is very soap opera-y, and Game
War
of Thrones.
of the Roses, yeah.
Yeah, right. And the Lord of the Rings, just, you know, you always hear about how much work Tolkien put into building the history of that world, and you can feel it in the writing.
Yeah.
You know, in a way that I think feels kind of more special than when I read Game of Thrones books. Like, it's an incredible story, but his actual writing, I think, isn't super great. Where I don't feel emotion from his writing style in the way that I do from Tolkien.
Well,
Totally.
when Tolkien wrote The Hobbit, he wrote those as letters to I can't remember who it was. It was someone on the front line in World War One, and in trench warfare, he wrote The Hobbit as letters to that person on the front line. That's how The Hobbit originated, being the first story. Was he just and that's why you get more emotion out of his writing, because he's trying to take that guy away from, you know, trench warfare and real warfare into something completely fantastical to get his mind off to go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I just feel like that this, going back, these other shows kind of had the opportunity to put so much, if we're going way back in time like that, to kind of do more world building and kind of lore side around Game of Thrones. And so you got to assume HBO is going to throw a shitload of money at it. So this will be hopefully, you know, as high quality as what we're watching now.
Well, it has to be. The fans will revolt.
Yeah,
right.
Totally. And also, I think if people want a sneak peek, if they are, since it's going to be in that setting, there's a reference book called The World of Ice and Fire, and they expand upon the Age of Heroes in there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
So you can check it out.
Nice shout.
Nice.
All right, so I just wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about a few more things from E3. Just a little bit of follow over from last week's show.
Nice.
We recorded the last show on Tuesday, and we had just seen the Nintendo thing. A few things came out since. In particular, I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
If you listened to our last week's show, episode 108, we were talking about Cyberpunk 2077 is that the source material that it came from was a board game. That is not the case. It's actually an RPG.
Yes.
It's a TTRPG. So did a lot of research around that, and that really kind of solidified a lot of things to me. So when they were talking before about how you kind of level your character up and the different stats and whatnot,
It's in there, yeah.
it's built around with an RPG system to it.
That's cool.
And that got me pretty excited because The Witcher feels very video game-y in the way that you progress, and your character and build your stats and all that stuff. It'll be cool when this is kind of more directly set up like a tabletop RPG.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I think it'll allow them to layer it more like an RPG too. Yeah, and it kind of gives me more, what we had talked about, kind of how it'll make the two games feel a lot different. Like The Witcher is kind of like their action-y title, and this is more roleplay. But it's funny because it's a first-person shooter, so that's pretty action-y as well. But story-wise, The Witcher is Geralt's story. And when you're making choices, you have an idea in your head of like what Geralt would do, and you play it out that way. I think this will be more build your character, right? And go with it, and so it'll feel more kind of open, I would think. Yeah. Also, I'm kind of curious now that I know that it's from Cyberpunk 2020, why they picked that game and not say something like GURPS or
GURPS.
There's several other cybernetic or futuristic
Rifts,
TTRPGs. Rifts. You could pick any of these. I don't know why they picked this one specifically.
Right. So. It might just come down to it was cheapest.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But then you wonder, but why not just invent your own then?
Well, because maybe it's ready-made. They probably got it for a steal. I imagine. I can speak for myself. I was immediately interested in it, and I found it on Drive-Thru RPG and on and I think DM's Guild might have it for cheap. You can reprint them. It's but I'm interested.
Bought one.
Oh, you did already?
Yeah, it's. I bought the paper version. It's not here yet.
Nice. Look at you.
I'm for sure gonna study up on the whatever's the next Witcher game is. I'm all in.
Well, tell me if the system's any good. I'm not opposed to playing it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I even will play it. I'm buying it to research for the game, for the video game coming out. To be honest, I want to read the book first, so then when I play the game, I can be like, oh, cool, that's from there, that's from there, that's from there, and then they iterated this way, and you know what I mean? Like I want to see it in that lens, not the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I bought it. I'm just to read, really.
I'm pretty slutty when it comes to RPGs. I'll just play anything. So.
Sure.
Throw it. I'll play it.
You slut.
Yeah. So then the other thing is just I didn't realize last week we had talked about the games that we were going to play by the end of this year, and how many of these big games are coming out in the next couple months. In February, Days Gone and Anthem drop on the same day.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the spring.
It really,
yep.
February. I don't call that spring. That's winter still. That's
winter,
that's right after Christmas. The in Days Gone, I was kind of surprised. Last year's E3, they acted like this is one of their biggest games from one of their premier developers.
Yeah.
We didn't see Days Gone at all at E3 this year. Sony focused on their big four was Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, Last of Us, and Spider-Man.
Yep.
Weird that we didn't, unless I missed it, there wasn't anything about Days Gone at E3.
No,
I thought there was. I thought I did see something, but it wasn't hyped up.
Yeah, I can't. Like I say, I don't think there was. But and then the Division in March too.
15th,
So
yep.
God, I'm just gonna have to take my backlog and throw it in the garbage and just play games when they come out and as much as I can or something. I don't know. There's too many awesome games. I can't skip any of those.
No.
Yeah.
So
Man, Red Dead's gonna take.
So yeah.
Well, the interesting
Forever.
thing though that they came out too with Anthem was no PvP in Anthem.
What?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I actually prefer that.
Yeah, I
Myself,
like
but
that.
A lot of people
Absolutely.
aren't going to like that.
Well,
Yeah.
screw 'em.
Screw.
Yeah. I don't care about them.
Care about me.
They get,
All right,
hey,
so yeah.
look, the PvP, they get tons of games all year. Let us have something.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what do you guys, anything else that you guys noticed in the rest of the week at E3 that we didn't talk about last week?
The only other thing was that controller for PlayStation that they launched is like $100.
The Pro one?
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
like it's shaped like it looks more like an Xbox controller because the left thumbstick is up where the D-pad is. D-pads move, but then you can take the face off and change out the buttons for different. Instead of the standard like R2 buttons, you can have like triggers like on the Xbox controller.
Yeah, it's got all those ones underneath it.
Yeah.
Like the Xbox Pro one has.
Yeah.
Yeah, shifting
and-
plates.
Yeah, and they're all configurable and stuff. I've heard that those are good for people who have disabilities with their hands. Those
Yeah,
Xbox
that's
ones,
awesome.
when the way that you can program the buttons and use different things underneath it and whatnot, that it helps people out that way.
Well, it's sort of
Yeah.
like PlayStation's own controller, where Xbox came out with that one that's designed for people with disabilities, where it has like touch pads, big pads. You know, if you don't have,
Yeah.
if you only have one hand,
That
you
one's
can
all the way in
still-
that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never talked about that. It is goofy looking, and it's cool. Like,
It's cool.
you know, they're not going to make back their R&D money on that one.
No.
They're just doing that to be cool.
Well,
You know what I mean?
think they might. I mean, if you can get people with special needs, disabilities, that are gamers to start playing again effectively, I think you'll see a huge boost in.
I just don't know how many of those people there are that
I
can't
don't
use a
know the
controller.
numbers. I don't know.
That's a pretty specific disability, you know.
I've heard 2 million. So
2 million?
yeah,
I don't know. That seems high to me.
Where'd you get that number?
that's just what I heard. Word on the street.
Some dude on the corner.
I think there were two other things. Unravel 2 we didn't talk about. I know it's not big, but
Right.
but that was I think because of the co-op nature of it, it looked kind of cool for a platformer. And then No Guacamelee too. I was surprised by that. I don't know we
Right.
Yeah, no guacamole.
Yep. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about. I know that you guys haven't played them, but the Wolfenstein games are incredible, and I'm totally stoked that the new Wolfenstein is going to be co-op. That I can play that through with a friend.
That's awesome.
Totally all about it. Yep. That I didn't realize that tidbit until I was listening to somebody's wrap-up podcast during this week while working, and I'm all in for sure. And I'm moving to it's BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters that you play in
awesome.
Paris. Yeah, like in Paris in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And so if you don't play with a friend, that other daughter is artificial intelligence. And if you have a buddy, you can each be one of the twins.
Oh, I saw that video for that now. That makes sense. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, really
That's
awesome.
sweet.
And also that game, I tell you what, they went from being the most, I don't know what the word would be, macho-istic game on Earth back with the original Wolfenstein. These two games have flipped that on its head. They changed the big meathead go shoot everything dude into one of the most compelling characters in all of games. and now we're going to make the next game have female leads where you can't even pick a male if you want to. Like, I just love what they're doing with story, and
Nice.
you know, they're breaking ground over there.
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
They are.
Yep.
Negative
Okay,
one.
and we're at that part of the show where we give the love back. Almost 1,590 subscribers. I think it's fluctuating somewhere around there. We're almost to 1.6K. Really appreciate everybody who's subscribed to our channel here. It really helps us out. Click the subscribe button. We love it. And we want to just do a quick couple shout outs for some of these people who subscribed this week who also have YouTube channels. If you're a fan of us, please, if you're listening to the audio version of this, go over to YouTube, youtube.com/GCandC. Go into the description for this video. Click these guys' channels. Hit the subscription button for them. It really means a lot to us. If you enjoy the content, you don't want to give us money on Patreon. I get that 100%. This is something that really helps us out. Subscribing, right? Getting there and subscribing. If you got people who got multiple accounts in your house, please subscribe with all of them. We appreciate it. Yep. And so yeah, do that for these people who subscribed to us this week. This week it was That's How I Roll, Patsy Houlihan, and Furret Astral. So thank you very much to the three of you. Every week, if you haven't watched before, we pick a name of the week where we go through all the new subscribers who have channels and pick a champion, number one out of all the different names there, based on nothing about content, only about the names. Just reading it off the list. What do you guys got this week?
I like Patsy Houlihan.
Yeah. Wow, really? I'm surprised. I thought That's How I Roll would just be a shoo-in.
No. I want.
All right. Well, not unanimous. I'm going with That's How I Roll.
Okay.
All right.
Patsy still won.
Congratulations, Patsy. You are the name of the week. You're going to go down in history in a coveted list of people who have won this award.
Yeah. Hashtag blessed.
Absolutely. I should go someday if I ever have free time in my life and figure out all the names of the week and put them up on the website someplace.
Yeah.
Make a little Stanley Cup with the names of the week underneath them.
That'd be totally awesome. We needed to start adding them to a big list.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I do that.
Work.
All right. And then new Facebook group members this week was Johnny, Harold, Brandon, and Arnold.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everybody. We appreciate that. Want to see
awesome.
Some conversation from you over there one of these days. And then I wanted to thank everybody who showed up on this week's Sunday night stream. Had Captain Emo dropped in. Captain Emo, how awesome is that, dude? He drops in at the beginning of the stream, says, "Hey guys, I'm out at an event and I'm about to be driving for an hour, so I won't be able to hang out. I wanted to drop in and say hello." So thank you, Cap.
Dedication, devotion.
Totally appreciate that. So and then who else do we have on there? We had
Jay Garcia was on there.
Yeah,
that's
Jay
right.
Garcia.
Hooking it up.
Steven, I think, was another name.
Yeah, Steven, I can't remember what the last name was.
I can't either.
And then Ender King.
Ender King, yeah.
As always.
Ender King.
Showing the love. So, yeah, appreciate everybody for dropping by.
And in case y'all missed it, we are wanting to shift a lot of the conversation from Facebook over to our Discord channel. A little bit easier to post stuff on Discord, and there's no ads or political ads or, you know what, I bet this person can't get 100 likes because he's wearing a taco on his head, and just stupid
exactly
shit.
Jeff.
There's no taco heads on Discord. Yeah, come on over.
There might be a
it's definitely
camel, but
there's lots of camels.
Yep. So anyways, but Jeff's right. It's way better. It's way better to just pop in and out during the day. It is annoying. I know everybody, you want to download another app onto a device to use to chat when there's already too many as it is. But this experience on Discord is much better.
Oh, it's so much better, man.
Yep. All right, so that's been our show. We're going to go into Legion full spoilers conversation here. So if you have not watched Legion all the way through the finale of Season 2, that's what we're going to be discussing here for the rest of the show here tonight. If you are checking out, thank you for dropping by Comically Gaming, episode 109. Please check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/GCandC.
Find us on Twitter at GCandC.
And Fred Thomas, I want to thank you again for the music.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks, Fred. And, of course, Xee Reiter. Not only do you make great food when I'm over at your house eating, but you gave us a great logo.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks, C.
Yep. So everybody else, if you're checking out, thanks for joining us this week. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Well, just you two. Next week's the you two show.
Oh, yeah. It's just
It's
Jeff
it's the Dirk and Jeff show.
Dirk
We've done this before.
DJ
We're gonna rock and roll it.
Yep. And and the one last thing is the comic book club for that show will be Sandman number 50. So read up on that
I
so you
gotta
can
read
take part
it now
of that
because
conversation.
it's just me and Dirk.
Man, I'm gonna mail y'all that fucking issue just to make you read it. Damn it.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Oh.
All right.
All
Later,
right.
everybody.
Peace.
Later.
All right, here we go. We traded out a Jeff for a Corey.
Hey, what up?
Shapeshifter.
Good.
All right,
I'm
so
not too hot now.
back just in time for the Legion talk.
Made it.
Everybody, as we just said,
Yeah.
this is going to be a full spoilers discussion for Legion all the way through the end of season 2.
Yeah.
So if you have not watched, go ahead, go watch it, come back afterwards. Join the conversation then.
For sure.
So let's hop right in. It was fucking incredible, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I was telling you earlier, I think they really brought it. The last 2 episodes particularly
Yeah.
were just like smashed it out of the park.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuck the landing. All fucking throughout.
Yeah, they killed it. I was like, the last episode, David going evil, I was just so hyped the whole time, even though he was going evil, which like I shouldn't be excited about probably, but but I was like, oh, that's gonna be badass. Yeah.
So just kind of talking through a little bit. Let's talk. That opening scene was amazing, huh? Their fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Him and Farouk. It was funny, and something. It did kind of flash through my head for a second there. Of it's weird that they're opening it with what you think would be the finale, the fight between David and Farouk,
That's when I knew something was up.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
I knew it.
Right.
but it wasn't. I just love the way they're floating towards each other, singing Behind Blue Eyes. I went
Behind Blue Eyes with that Pink Floyd animation.
Yeah.
So like if you've seen the wall, that's almost like straight out of the wall, that animation. It's great.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And then they jump into what was one of my favorite scenes of the season, with the Ice Cube conversation there between Oliver and Melanie. Man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so cool how you didn't know what was going on. They both had foggy memories because they had been in the cube for so long. Again, like remember when David first found Oliver, how he was so out of it and didn't,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He had no sense of reality anymore.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they were slipping back to
Kind
that.
of forgot about that, to be honest.
Right,
But,
right, yeah. It just
Makes sense.
the way that they couldn't name anybody except for Sid. Like they named Sid, and then they're like, yeah, and glasses, McLab coat,
Yeah.
the girl who
Yeah.
kicks everybody. Man, I really miss the girl who kicks everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then what was
Did y'all-
the comment about soup? About how we're older than soup now? No, we're not that old. Soup's pretty old. Like it was
It was
just,
fantastic.
yeah, so good.
Did
Yeah.
you notice when they go into the ground and they have that stopper on the chain in the
Right.
field? Did you
Yeah.
notice like she picks up a rabbit out of the hole and
Yeah.
takes the thing off?
Right.
I don't know. I just thought that was an Alice in Wonderland throwback. It
Of
was like,
course,
yeah,
yeah.
Definitely.
Freaking
seems like that,
awesome.
for sure.
yeah, I just thought that
Man,
was.
that's when she's holding the hook. I'm like, let go of that fucking hook. And then she got it.
And she
Yeah.
got it. Yep.
You got it.
So really, and then after that, they just kind of jump into the rest of the show, basically, which is him slowly going crazy enough to do things that are questionable, right? Like up
Or
until
check
that
out.
point, you were never 100% sure his sanity level throughout all of this, but when he went over and brainwashed Sid, that's when it's like, oh, that's probably not a good look for you there, David.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I thought that scene where she is showing her the scenes of David being evil and explaining like this is the person you thought you knew. That was such a fantastic scene to me. I mean, the way the visuals that are sparked there, it was totally. It had this like David Lynch meets Tron feel to it because it's blurry, sort of like wavy.
Sure.
Oh man, it was just so good. I just thought like the little details tucked in. That's the big thing about this show is the small details packed into every single scene.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you can tell every scene is so thoughtful around that regard and whatnot. And then basically comes down to him date raping her.
Right.
And that's at the point where you're like, oh man, wow, okay, that's really not a good look. And I almost feel like if it wasn't for that, she would have still ultimately have been on his side. I mean, I guess she shot him before that, though. I mean, she was purposefully trying to kill him. And funny how her conversation with him when that was happening, and he's like, whoa, you're lost it. Farouk's in your head or whatever it is. And she's like, why, maybe I love you, but I should probably trust myself more was her argument at that point,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
she switched on pretty quick.
Yeah. The actor that played Farouk, oh my God, what can you say about this guy?
Right.
I mean, just phenomenal.
Yep.
So good.
Even like when they put the crown on him, when they caught him.
Right.
That whole like sort of messianic crown of thorns coming off, and the way it was shot, looking up at him. Oh, just
it's funny, right when it happened, and especially because they jab it into him, is you are thinking Crown of Thrones, but I think it's more just crown, right? Like they're that.
Right.
Yes, they are detaining him, but at the same time, they're putting the crown on his head.
Yeah, the Shadow King. Yeah, he's a king.
And I feel like I didn't like so much right off the bat, but the more that I think about it, I'm the more okay with it I am, is the fact that, a lot of them changing their mind absolutely was Shadow King manipulation. Even right up until the end when he had the mouse whispering in Sid's ear, you're still thinking that final scene when they had David trapped, we're still almost thinking, hey, this is everybody's under Farouk's control, and David's still a good guy. But then when Sid, comes up to him and explains to him that, dude, you drugged me. Raped me. Yeah.
Right.
Then it's like, okay, she's right. That's definitely crosses the line, right? You're not a good person anymore when you're doing that to the person that you love, right?
God, and see, with him getting so angry, and he said, "I'm done with this." I was just like, "Oh shit!"
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh God.
Yeah, and the
I loved him on the throne with Aubrey Plaza laying under him. Like,
yes.
Them together. I think them together, like doing bad shit, could be so awesome. But
It's nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, and the one other thing specific to this episode that I just wanted to hit on real quick was before that, the scene with him in his head talking to the multiple personalities. That's when at that point in the show I'm like, okay, he is falling again, right? And whether he was truly ever kind of healed or not, this is where the Legion multiple personalities are coming in, and and who's he going to listen to? And it was cool, like even after that, when they're taken away, what's Aubrey Plaza's character's name?
Lenny.
Yeah, when they're taking her away, and she's like, "Yep, I guess I'm off to the executioner," and he's like, "Nope, God's got plans for you." Like that wasn't the nice
awesome.
David saying that to her. Right?
No.
That was the evil David.
I loved it when he said that.
Also, the shout out to the comic was so awesome.
Which one?
Yeah, on the show,
where he with his hair and he's got the sleeveless shirt. I just I thought that was fucking cool.
Yeah, definitely. But you guys already hit on it, but that scene when he was like, "Look, guys, I'm still trying to be nice to you here. This isn't you're not making sense. I'm the good guy here, all that stuff." And then he's like, "Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Boom, I'm out of here." You know, and,
And they're like, "It should hold." He said that.
Right. It didn't hold. Yeah, and then that right after that, just like, what do we do now? And he goes, "We pray." You know, it comes back to there's a new God. It's time to start praying here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so,
man.
it just, like we said from the start, totally nailed the landing. I didn't think, as the whole season was going along, I'm like, I really love this, but I don't know whatever the story ends at is going to determine whether this goes down in history for me. And,
Totally.
And they totally nailed it.
Dude, the music placement also,
Right.
I found that he does this in Fargo too, but the both the song selection and the original music are both so fucking out of the park spectacular. I mean, I think there's like, what, he did True Love Waits by Radiohead. He did Jane's Addiction in a scene for the fight scene.
He loves Jane's Addiction.
Yeah. Just so many good songs. We had the Kinks, I think he did. I just thought that was, again.
Yeah, that's what, for people who don't watch Legion, like, can't impress enough about is that it's half of the conversation is the artistry of behind it, right? Just the fact that it's like watching a Kubrick movie, every single scene and frame, there's weird stuff going on that is intentional. And I think my wife disagrees with me about this, but I think it kind of threads the line perfectly of being too obtuse and still having a great story mixed through that,
You see, I agree with her for a little bit, but that changes in the context of the season when you can wrap it up like that. If it ended open-ended like that and everything was so freeform, it'd be hard for me to ground it, and I'd be like, well, okay. But the fact that they brought it all together at the end makes me want to go back and watch it all again to see what I pick up.
All right.
Yep. So
yeah, for sure. It's definitely one that you want to rewatch sometimes.
I think the biggest thing, I'm sure there's a million little things, but the biggest thing is that the eggs through the corrupted idea that was the kind of through line of this whole season, that at the end, the egg was David's, like, I deserve to be loved statement, right? And so right from the beginning, we all thought when we were talking about it that's like Farouk poisoning everybody's mind. No, that all goes back to David right from the beginning. So I'd love to then rewatch those scenes where the little slimy egg bird is climbing into people, and then they're all going crazy, knowing that that's coming from David instead of from Farouk. Like,
we should have known.
Just assume the whole time that all that stuff was Farouk trying to corrupt everybody and bring them to his side. Like, he really does very little to brainwash everybody once you realize that the eggs are coming from David. His amount of input really is just when Oliver and Lenny are crashing the base with him being in control. And even that's all planned out to get David to freak out on Oliver, so that's one more like evil thing that he can show to Sid.
Right.
And so it's just I'd love to rewatch it in the context that every time the dude crawls in the egg and then the next scene is that person doing something crazy or stupid or whatever, that came from David instead of Farouk. Basically he put Tanami. He put
Tanami.
Yeah, he killed him, basically, right? Like, that dude's trapped in Cyberland now for eternity, and that was David, not Farouk,
It's so crazy.
Yeah, right. It's just, it blows me away.
I don't know how, season 3, how does this play out? He has it, it could go so many different ways now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know it's going to be great. I mean, now I'm actually secure. I think season 3 can't even lose at this point. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
the way it's wound up and like set and ready to go, yeah. I'm glad that happened too. I was a little worried. I'm not going to say because I didn't trust the quality or where it was going, but it solidifies it as the great show that it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
It was
I agree.
like too good to be true. The first season. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now
Yeah.
we're grounded. Yep.
so I hope they get rid of the narrated parts, though. I'm not a big fan of those.
You see, I dug the John Hamm stuff.
Yeah.
I
I just
it.
I liked it, but it's once they actually went to what was actually like happening, I was like, all right, back to the fucking action. Like,
Sure.
There's
I
actually
think it would have been better without it, but I'm not saying I didn't like it. It was cool, but I would have preferred. I don't know. I wasn't big on it.
there's one that really stuck with me when he's talking about who's more dangerous, the fear or the people that are the feared themselves. I think it's something
Right.
along those lines where it shows the witch, like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
4
basically-
episodes back, I think.
Yeah,
Some.
the story of that is basically that once enough people are on one side of things, the individual who isn't is wrong no matter what. Whether it's
Right. It's
you
yeah,
take the
it says,
morality out of it, and that person who doesn't agree with the group is the one that's just, whether it's good or bad, they're wrong.
yeah, that's it. And he says, which one is more dangerous, the fear itself or the frightened? That's what
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It's all
I
the
think-
people that are scared. You know,
Yeah.
that's the dangerous part.
Yeah, I think that kind of speaks to the fact that they didn't handle it very well at the end. You know, they thought they could trap him, and then basically they told him it's either like, we're going to zombie you with medication or we're going to kill you. And those are your two options. You know, that's what they told him when he was in the thing. And, and I think it's kind of built around that idea as well, that might not have been the best approach, but
Right.
because they were all afraid at that point, that's the choice that they made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
totally going to watch that episode again.
Right. Yeah.
Tomorrow. Well, or Tuesday.
I want
Totally.
to rewatch the whole season again.
Man. And Preacher's right around the corner, too.
Yeah, so it'll be tough. You know, I feel like the Preacher, and of course I haven't watched all the seasons
Yeah,
yet,
come on.
but
Yeah.
I feel like they both kind of really
What are you
did a
gonna
great
do?
job of ratcheting it up in the second
Scratch,
season.
man.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Nate?
What do you mean?
Are you gonna watch?
Preacher.
Are you not gonna watch season 2 when it starts, or what?
I probably will not be in time for that because my wife wants to watch it with me, and she didn't watch season 1, so we're starting from season 1 probably tomorrow when we're gonna start watching through
Ooh.
them. So I'll be DVRing season 3 in the meantime. Maybe I'll be caught up by the end. Maybe.
Look, tell her, Vanessa loves Preacher as much as I do. Like, it's our shared favorite thing, so.
Yep.
It's a great show.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Anyway, but yeah,
See if it
man,
can
I
compete
mean,
with this.
the two best shows on TV, in my opinion, walk hand in hand, and they're both great, and they're both from comic books.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
All right, let's wrap it up, fellas. Unless you guys got anything else specific you want to spit on here, let's do it.
Trying
All
to think. Yeah, that's it.
It's been Comically
Loved it.
Gaming, episode 109. We love Legion.
Yeah.
Y'all should watch
Oh yeah.
Oh, Legionnaire.
Legionnaires. Yeah,
Legionnaires.
Legionnaires.
it. Legionnaires.